It's gone on and on.
Of course,
Yeah.
I've often brought it to the attention, not on the air much, but Julia Child, who ran that, during Prohibition, up to Prohibition,
yeah.
it became the local speakeasy. You'd go up there, and the old timers tell me, you go and say, I want a special, and she knew just what you wanted.
Absolutely.
And Pike Monroe, a noted fisherman down in Barcelona, made a lot of night runs, I understand, to Canada. And he would come back, and Julia would suddenly be restocked.
That was during Prohibition. They actually would hear about. Actually, there was people from Canada bringing things over too, and so they dumped the stuff overboard, and people would go along the lake picking up the bottles.
Yeah,
and
when
stuff.
the revenuers who were onto them
revenuers,
chased them down,
absolutely,
they would just toss it all over. And I still remember a bottle rolling up at the shore where the Sugar Shack is.
Oh,
when I was a kid. It didn't have a label or anything on it, but it had good alcohol in it, I'll tell you. Every once in a while, those bottles appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah, I write the paper beelines for the paper, and I wrote about the drugstores in Westfield. And,
well, you know, Vinnie kept the big mirror that she has.
Oh, absolutely.
And with the cabinets where they kept the ice cream.
It's
Vinnie's barbershop now.
Yeah, it's exec too. I rent the space next door, and we were going to try to move the old bar and mirror over, but we decided that would wreak havoc with his barbershop. So I have an old-fashioned bobtail, Bastion Blessing bobtail soda fountain in my store, and it's fully restored. It's from that same era, sort of like what she had, and sort of like what Tony's Olympian had.
Oh, I remember Tony Carew.
Oh.
Tony Carew, what a guy.
Yeah, that's where my best friend and I would go to the movies, which the theater's no longer there, and then we go down to the Olympian, of course, which is no longer there. In fact, that's where Molly Catalano has her Silk Purse tax place and an antique store.
This is just a family show, guys. Go on and watch, watch the local news. This is only for people who lived in Westfield a long time ago. I'd like to bring up one other thing. Sure.
I've just done a long series on the diners, and we're coming up with something called a Roadside Day on June 18th. It's in conjunction with the bicentennial celebration, and between Silver Creek and Westfield, there will be a diner tour, and there'll be diner book signings by Mike Engel. He wrote this book, Diners of New York.
What is a diner?
What is a diner?
Yeah.
Well, that is an interesting thing that we were trying to define exactly.
Yeah.
It was something that could be moved, so it was on wheels, and they started off calling them lunch cars, and they started way back in the early 1900s, and sometimes they got modified, sometimes they got taken out of town and replaced by others, and so there's quite a few of them. So, and eventually they started calling them diners, spelled E-R or O-R. The Starlight had it spelled O-R for a while, Dinor.
Well, there's a diner in Westfield.
Yeah,
It used to be the Park Diner.
Yeah.
Now it's the, what do they call it?
It's the main diner.
Main diner.
Yeah.
The only real diner, because you can see the old car.
Oh,
I mean,
you can't
it's
see.
in a car.
Yeah, it's still the front section of it is still what remains of the old car, and then they added 2 other buildings to it.
Right, they took over the newsroom, Hoyt's, and then Canella's a little bit of it.
Yeah, they put all kinds of stuff together.
Yeah, well, it's quite a. It must be, that car must be 1,000,000 years old. I mean.
Well, it's not 1,000,000 years old, but it was brought in 1930 something or other.
30 something, I believe.
Yeah. And there was one there before it that came in 1929. They took that one down to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
They just rolled it off somewhere, right?
No, they rolled it off to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and it's still someplace down in Pennsylvania. It gets moved. The diners got moved around from place to place. They're kind of talking about this Roadside Day because we're doing along Route 20, and Arcadia just came out with another book called Along New York's Route 20, and
these are all about diners.
This one's about all the old stuff along there, because he wants to feature not just the diners, but he also wants to feature the old gas stations, and has asked all the historians that he can find to hang pictures of old things.
You know the problem with old gas stations?
What's that?
they had tanks
Yes.
underneath them and around them, and they have to, by law, be removed. And it costs a bloody fortune because by that time they've leaked and they've got to take all the dirt
out and clean it.
It costs like $50,000 or something to remove the darn tanks.
Well, it's the same thing as trying to tear down buildings. Well, it's asbestos stuff, they get you coming and going. Whether you want to tear it down or you want to reconstruct it, you still have to deal with the asbestos.
It's going to cost a bundle. The only answer is just torch it.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's about it, which is really sad.
Yeah.
Anyway, along with this, we're going to try to show a video at the Easton Hall of along Route 20 that Mike Engel has come up with. So
when's that going to be?
And that's going to be on June 18th.
June 18th.
And I'm not sure what time. We haven't got that all set up yet, but I just wanted to forewarn people. Please do try to come and to join us for that. It'll be between.
Now you have an office down on Main Street too, right?
I have it right in my
by the ice cream parlor.
I have it right in the ice cream parlor. I said so I can run the ice cream parlor and be a
you scoop a little ice cream and talk history, right?
Yeah, or pour a cup of coffee. It's a cafe too, so you can come for lunch and breakfast.
Yeah, I see the mayor comes down there once in a while.
Oh, yes, Mayor started, in fact, come in on Tuesday mornings at 10 o'clock. Mayor is coffee and conversation with the mayor. And also come in and join us on Friday evenings. We're doing poetry by candlelight for all local musicians who write their own music, or poets who write their own poetry, to share and have this kind of a comfortable, cozy place to share those things. And
it's sort of like Shakespeare and Company over in Paris, where I used to hang out.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, that's a place that everybody should see.
Right.
The history of Westfield. Now, somebody mentioned, as we were talking earlier, the main theater, that big old theater that was there, the Grand Theater.
Yeah.
And which was sadly demolished, but much against the protests of Priscilla Nixon, I might add.
Well, there was probably quite a few people that
she didn't want anything to come down.
Oh, I agree with you. Yeah, that's a
God bless her. She was a wonderful lady. What a lady.
Yeah, that was the Art Deco version of the Grand Theater. That was the third Grand Theater. The first two had burned.
Oh, in Westfield?
In 1916, they started the Carlson block, and they put the first Grand Theater in there. There had been theaters in Westfield all along Main Street in various buildings. We did another series of that I appeared with Dibbles, Dabbles, and Beelines on the theaters.
You mentioned the fact that when I was a kid, you could go into the Grand Theater for 15 cents.
That's right.
15 cents.
15 cents.
A ticket.
And you went down to the soda fountain and got a 10-cent milkshake.
Right, and for a nickel you got a big pack of Good and Plenty's, and you chew them up and spit out the licorice. Yeah. And after a while, all the seats where you put your feet down, they would be sticky because all the kids did this. Yeah,
and did you know there's two other interesting things that were, or at least two other interesting things that were in there. When it first started, there actually was an ice cream parlor soda fountain in it. Eventually, I think that area became the town hall of Westfield. Westfield's, well, town hall, not the village. Village has always been at the east since they built that. Then down below was the bowling alley.
And
remember the bowling alley?
I set pins there for 25 cents
okay, there you
a game.
Go. There you go.
I still remember setting the pins. Quarter, you got a quarter after the whole evening.
Yeah.
You know, you were lucky.
And by the way, if anybody has old photos or anything, bring them in. I can scan them in, and I really would like to use them for our articles and for our archives. I'm trying to collect as many of the old buildings as I can.
I have something from the Grand Theater.
Oh, yes?
They auctioned off a lot of stuff that was in there, and I managed to pick up for, I think it was like 50 cents or something, the soap dispenser from the men's room.
Oh, that's cute.
I still have it. I'll show it to you someday.
Oh, I'd like to see that, yes. Yeah. You live in a historic home, too, in Westfield, don't you?
Yes, I do indeed. It's the oldest home in Westfield, and it's been highly anthologized because it's noted, and it was proven that it was part of the Underground Railroad.
Oh, yeah.
And you can read about it in the Old Republicans, or some of the other issues have had it too, I might add. Others.
Yeah.
I've never tracked them all down.
Yeah.
But a little girl next door ran into the house unannounced, since she was a playmate of the girl in the house.
Right.
And lo and behold, there were at least 30 black people sitting around having breakfast.
Oh my.
And she shrieked and ran out of the house. They chased her down, brought her back. Said, "You can't tell anybody about this. This is a secret. It's all okay, but don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody." And she was just utterly panicked by the whole thing.
Yeah.
But they used to take them down to the lake at night, and then the fishing boats would go off to Canada with a whole load of slaves.
Or they would take them if there was two or three of them, like the old Knowlton Mansion, which is on the site where now Tops Market is, and eventually at one point was our high school.
I went to high school there.
I did too, junior and senior. But anyway, before that was the Knowlton Mansion, and it had been built back in the 1850s, and it was also another site on the underground.
Well, Westfield was quite the center, because there's no coincidence it was called Crossroads.
That's right.
Because you could, they had a rather unique situation. They had the portage, which was just a short portage from the lake over to Lake Chautauqua, and then they could go from Lake Chautauqua through the tributaries, down the river, hit the Ohio, and into the Mississippi.
Absolutely.
So you could actually get cargo from anywhere on the Great Lakes.
That's right.
Down to almost Mexico, but to Louisiana anyway.
Oh, yeah.
And to date, they had a pier that went out about 1/5 of a mile, stone pier.
That's right.
From Barcelona, and they still can see the remains of it. The rock is still there.
Still there.
But it was, that's where they unloaded cargo, and it was a very busy place.
Yes, I just did another. I keep doing series. I did a series on the Barcelona Harbor recently too. Yeah, and it was a lot of fun doing that, because that's when I wrote about the one with the Julia Poole and the shipping, that part of it.
Well, actually, Julia owned the corner store, and her sister, Nellie owned they were relatives of ours, and when my great-grandfather passed away, they took it over. They split it. And you're in the haberdashery that she had kept. It was all one big haberdashery, but she kept her half, and Julia switched over to the drugstore.
I still have her mirror that you looked at yourself in the mirror, in the side of there, and it's got the little building. It's got the little tassels around it. It's from the Victorian era, and it's just that she put there.
I just got this message came through to me.
Yeah.
We're out of here.
Oh, we're out of here.
We're out of here.
Oh, no.
I want to give you just a minute to sort of close it down. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, close it down?
Uninterrupted.
Uninterrupted? Oh, no.
Time is up.
Yeah, time is up. Okay.
No, go ahead. You have a minute.
No, I just thanks for, I just ask anybody who has anything historic for Westfield, please bring that to me at the our Parkview Ice Cream Parlor. I'm open now from 8 in the morning until 5 at night, and sometimes later. And we can scan things on my scanner, and it'll be just an exciting thing to be able to publish more history of Westfield in the paper.
Okay, thank you, Mary Bell B. Talking about Westfield and some of the history of it, and there's a lot more. We never even touched the surface, really, and I love to talk about it because I was part of the history, apparently, at this age.
Yeah, you and me both.
I want to thank all those special people. Sorry, last caller, we can't get you in, but well, you'll come back sometime, okay?
Oh, I'd love to.
We do it again. I want to thank all the people that make this possible. Chuck Kelsey, Devin Taylor, Chris Burt, Randy Burt, Chris Ramaker, Jeff Zook, Don Zenz, John Hamels, and occasionally Dan Bird. May all that is proud and true and noble abide with you. I'm Reed Powers.